Hey, I'm Bryony Kennedy, and today I thought I'd show you my Christmas or festive inspired makeup. So if you're looking at something different to do for any special days that you're celebrating over the festive period, then this might be a look that you want to try. It is a little bit more involved. There's a few more products than I usually like to do with my tutorials, but I do know that there's also people who like to go that extra step and have a few extra products to give a really flawless made up look. So I am going to use a little bit more than I would normally use. Everything is still very simple, but again, just a few more products than I would normally put in my tutorials. So this is going to be a look that's a little bit darker around the eyes than I would normally do, and for that reason I'm going to do my makeup around my eyes first. Okay, now the reason for that is I think we can all agree that when we try and do something dark or smoky or a little bit more advanced, we end up with all the shadow underneath our eyes and it looks really terrible, and then it wrecks your foundation. So the tip here is to apply your eye makeup before you put on your foundation and do the rest of your skin, because then you can just simply wipe it away. So bear with me while I do the eye makeup look, because we will do that first and then we'll then finish off the rest of the face after the eyes are complete. So to get started, I'm going to prep my skin, and what I'm going to use for that is the antioxidant facial oil and the skin primer moisturizer. So I have already mixed those two together and put them on my face. Now I've chosen those two products because I am a little bit more dehydrated, and so I just like a more of a dewy finish. If you have a normal combination skin and you don't want to use the two products, or you find that you want your makeup to stay on a bit longer, then you might just need to use the primer and that is it. Okay, but in my instance I've used both together, and that's simply because my skin's a little bit drier. I do like to put a lip balm or a bit of extra oil on the antioxidant oil on my lips while I'm doing my eyes, and that's because I tend to have quite dry lips. So if you have dry lips, there's nothing worse than putting lipstick on without with that dryness. So put a bit of oil or a lip balm on, so while you're doing your eye makeup it has a chance to soften those cracked lips, and then your lipstick and gloss will look a lot better. Okay, to get started I am going to prep my eyes now that I've got the moisturizer and the facial oil on, and I'm going to use a little bit of the light concealer. Okay, now I'm going to use that on my eyelids just with a fingertip, and the reason for that is because it gives a really nice base in that it helps with discoloration. So immediately it gets rid of all of these veins, which can then distort the look of your eyeshadow. Okay, so it's good to start like all painters would. They start with a clean canvas that doesn't already have any color to it, and that's exactly what we're doing, so that the color eyeshadows or eyeliners that we use look true, correct, and really vibrant and not distorted. It's great to start with a nice even canvas on your eyes. The other reason I like to use the ADORN concealer on my eyelid is it has been designed so that it won't accentuate any fine lines or wrinkles if you don't use too much. Obviously don't apply too much around the eye area, because it can do that. Any cream-based product will, but this one has had or been developed or formulated with that in mind, so that it doesn't accentuate fine lines and wrinkles. But using it in this instance not only helps give an even palette, but it also gives the eyeshadow the ability to blend really seamlessly. So if you try and put eyeshadow straight onto your eyelid, you'll find that it doesn't have anything to cling on to. So if you're giving it a little bit of this concealer, or maybe you've put an eyeliner on or something that's a cream base, the eyeshadow will stick to that and make it much easier to blend. Okay, so that's the two reasons I use it. Now, what I'm going to do is use our copper eyeshadow for this particular look. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see that. It is in the Brown Eyes kit and the charity eyeshadow as well. Okay, so they're both in the Brown Eyes kit and they also have a base eyeshadow. Now, bearing in mind with what I just said about creams working really well with eyeshadows underneath, I am going to use the Copper Chubby or the Copper pencil that we have. So they're the eye crayons. This is a fairly new color and I'm going to use this in my eye crease in a C shape. Then I'm going to put the copper eyeshadow over the top. Now that just means that it gives much easier blending and I'm not going to get that really grey looking eye, especially if you're trying to use darker colors. Try and stay with things that are more medium to dark browns, no blacks or it'll end up looking really grey. And the copper I think is quite Christmassy, quite festive, so I'm going to use this one in our look today. And I'm going to put the Chubby on in no particular way, like I'm not really worrying about it blending because I'm going to blend this in a minute. So you get your Chubby eye crayon, whatever colour you have. You might choose the golden emerald and then you can put the golden emerald eyeshadow over the top. But this is just giving more depth and more vibrancy to the eyeshadow when you put it on the top, okay? So if you're really wanting that next level intense eye look, using a concealer first, then a Chubby pencil, then layering it with the eyeshadow is going to really give intensity to the color that you've selected for your eyeshadow. Much more vibrant, and again, it makes it so much more easier to blend. Now, I'm not allowing myself to apply the Chubby any lower than the corner of my eye. So if you're someone who tends to go a little bit too far down, you can even just use your finger as a bit of a guide so you don't go too far. But ideally what I'm doing is just a really messy C. I'm going into the crease of my eye and down, okay, and I'm not putting it any further than the center of my eye, okay? So put more on than what you probably are comfortable finishing up with, because when I start blending this, it's going to be very light, or like probably half as light as what it looks right now. So again, put twice as much on than you're comfortable with, and when you start blending, you'll end up with the level of intensity that you're probably comfortable with, okay? So I'm going to grab now the round angle brush, which is in the 7-piece brush kit, and I'm now going to start putting the copper eyeshadow over the top. Now I'm just dipping a small amount on the end and then I'm using the lid to get it nice and even on the brush, and I'm just going to place it over the top first of all. And I don't see, yeah, see how that's now grabbing over that Chubby and it's made it really intense. Again, we're not worrying about blending at the moment. I just want to get the intensity right. Okay, so we're just placing it over the top for intensity. And this is where these videos are good, because you get to see that it doesn't have to look perfect while you're doing it, okay? A lot of people will do their eye makeup and then because it doesn't look like the girls they've seen in a particular video or tutorial or YouTube or whatever, they then wipe it off. But you've got to remember that quite often these videos have been cut and edited to take out all of this so that you just sort of see stages of it, and they tend to cut out the bits where it's not always looking great, okay? And that's perfectly normal for it not to look great initially. You've just got to stick with it, and hopefully you'll see through these tutorials that, you know, any mistakes you make can be fixed for a start, and second of all, it doesn't look beautiful as you're doing it. It's the end result you're looking for, okay? So you can see the intensity, and look, yeah, I've made a mistake here, but that's the beauty, is I haven't got any foundation on, and we'll correct that. So you can see the intensity that copper Chubby and the copper eyeshadow together has created, okay? And again, I've tried to stay away from the center of my eye as much as possible. The reason for that is most of us want that beautiful big almond looking eye, and that's what I'm trying to create. Now, if you've got a really big eye or you've got a bulbous eye, maybe you've got hooded eyes, so you can't see your crease. You might want to take this all the way. So from here, you would just take that eyeshadow color and cover up this white area, and then do exactly what I've done, and then just blend. So you're extending this darkness the whole way across. Now what that will do for those of you that do have a hooded eye, or do have more of a bulbous sort of eye, or larger eyes, it will just give those eyes more proportion to your face shapes. It makes them look a little bit smaller, and for those with the hooded eye, it'll just give the illusion that you actually have an eyelid. All right, now the trick with doing your eye makeup is to always have a clean brush handy, okay? So if I was to start blending with this brush that I just used, this area here is going to end up really dark and cloudy, and it's gonna look like I've been punched in the face. So the trick is to always have a clean brush handy, or the one that you use for the nude eyeshadows, use that as your blending brush, okay? But I promise if you have a spare one, that'll make your blending so much easier. So I'm grabbing this now, and all I wanna do is get rid of this harsh line between the eyeshadow and my nude skin, okay? I want that to be seamless. And so all I'm doing now is just very gently tickling that edge away. And in a moment, I'll put on another eyeshadow color for under here, which will also blend some of the eyeshadow away as well. So we just want to get rid of a little bit of this harshness to start with, that really harsh line that's there. But I don't want to blend too close to here because I don't want to lose this intensity here. Okay, so I'm happy with that at this stage. Okay, so it's just blended the top line, that's all we're worried about. This is all gonna blend away in a moment when I add the second color, okay? So bear with me, all these things come together. And the beauty with these tutorials is you might wanna save it on your phone and pause this. And you can do any eyeshadow color you want. You might wanna start with something a bit lighter than this. It might be a bit easier, but I know a lot of you have been asking for more advanced or darker shades, so here it is. But yeah, take this into your bathroom and just pause it and just stop each step of the way so that you've got me holding your hand, I suppose. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm constantly just looking between my eyes to make sure the height's the same, because look, this eye's a little bit lower than this one. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that, you know, maybe this one needs to go up a little bit higher to compensate for that. So you can correct your eye shape using eyeshadows as well, okay? But making sure that they're even, just go back and forth from one eye to the next. All right, so I'm happy with that, okay? It's not blended perfectly, but I will show you how to do that really seamlessly in a moment, okay? But just have a look at, I've just gotten rid of that harsh line. Now what I'm going to do is grab my clean brush again, okay? And I'm now going to apply, now there's a couple of things you could do. You could use a nude eyeshadow, you could use a soft grey shimmery sort of eyeshadow, you could use the Illuminizer, which is what I'm going to use myself, okay? And basically what we're using is just a nude or a skin sort of coloured eyeshadow along here, and that is going to blend away any of this here that I haven't blended away successfully with the brush. So we're overlapping the colours, and that self-blends, the eyeshadows then self-blend. And then it's also going to give a really defined, awesome eyebrow. So I have that really nice shape, okay? But what I want to do first is actually at this point, before I add that extra colour here to help blend away this and to give me more definition of my eyebrows, I'm actually going to do my eyebrows. So we get this on, get the symmetry right, get it a little bit blended. I've got obviously the concealer on underneath, as I mentioned, and now I'm going to do my eyebrows. Now, if you wanted to, you could do your eyebrows first, that's fine, but I just like to do it at this point simply because I just don't want to risk getting concealer when I'm patting it on, getting concealer in my eyebrow after I've done them, okay? So for me, I just do it at this point. There's no real right or wrong, just do whatever works for you. Now I'm going to use the angled brush from the ADORN Vegan Brush range, and I'm using the Peggy Brow Dust, okay? I just find brow dust a bit more natural looking. It's easier to blend, and rather than sort of look waxy, it sticks to the skin and looks really nice and natural and more hair-like. Okay, now it is water and sweat resistant, which is great. So you don't have to run the risk of losing an eyebrow over the day, but it's not rub resistant. I mean, if you're someone who inclined to rub your eyebrow, then you know you might rub it off over the day, but just by putting that extra bit of brow dust on, it's just given a really nice sharp defined brow. And also I very slightly corrected this one being a bit lower than the other by just putting a slight bit more up on this arch. Now for all of my tutorials on specific help, I suppose, you could go to our tutorial page and that will show you how to define your eyebrows. But for this tutorial, I'm not going to go too much into that. It's more just to show you a new look. Okay. All right, so here, there you have it. That's the brows with the medium or Peggy Brow Dust. It's a beautiful eyeshadow color as well. And then I'm just going to grab, wherever it is, just again, another clean brush. So I like to have some brushes around that are just always clean, just to get away any excess or to blend things. Okay, now I'm also just going to clean up under my eye. Now, if you ended up with a lot of eyeshadow underneath, just grab a face wash, grab a baby wipe, hopefully, preferably a face wash, because baby wipes obviously adding to landfill. But if you could just wipe away that excess, then you're not going to have that mix into your foundation when you get to that point. Okay, but this is the messiest bit right there. Okay, the darker colors. Now we have wiped that all away, and then once I finish my eyes, we'll end up moving to foundations. All right, so now what I'm going to do is get back to doing the brow enhancer, and that's with the illuminizer that I've selected, okay, on a clean brush. And again, I'm just going to take it right under my brow, and I'm going to just very gently apply it over the top of that eyeshadow. And again, it's self-blended it for me, so you can see that there's no real harsh line between the eyeshadow and that illuminizer, okay? And so it'll just give a really nice shimmer and nice definition to the brows. All right, so just popping it under here. And self-blending over the top of that eyeshadow. Okay, so now I'm going to put on a third color, which is going to blend away this middle area here. And again, I'm using a third brush. You can use a flat brush for this particular look. Okay, so that's in the 7-piece brush as well. Again, just tap off any excess or just dust or press it onto the lid, so you don't need much at any particular time. You're best off adding than putting too much on and it going everywhere. And I'm just putting this on the ball of my eye. And see how that's just instantly blend. I haven't even touched that area with any blending, and that's just instantly blend away that middle area for me. Okay, and then I haven't added any more. I'm now just what's left on the brush, just taking it up a little bit into this center area just to blend this bit here. Okay, so again, I'm getting a bit more of the Charity eyeshadow, which is in the brown eye kit with the copper eyeshadow. And I'm pressing it down the ball of my eye, which is essentially the center. See, look at that, self-blended. And now what's left on the brush, I'm taking it into the corner and I'm just blending it up into the illuminizer just to get rid of that bit there that needed some blending. So there you have it, really easily blended eyeshadow just by overlapping all of the eyeshadows together, okay? If at this point you think to yourself, oh look, I really want this up a little bit higher onto the brow bone, that's completely fine. Just grab your brush that you were using for the darker eyeshadow, okay? If you've accidentally put too much of the illuminizer or your brow enhancer, it could be a nude or something, if you've just gone too far down, just grab what's left on this brush and just very gently blend it up onto the brow bone. So you can always add more as you need it. You don't need to start again. And that's what I'm doing. I just want to bring this up a little bit higher. And because this brush has only got a little bit of the copper left on it from before, it's just blending into the illuminizer. And I'm going back and forth from eye to eye. Okay, and again, if you think, wow, I've taken it up too far, like you could keep making mistakes. Just go back and grab your brush, one of your clean brushes or one of your brushes that's been using a neutral color, and just gently dust over the edge. That's all you need to do, okay? You never need to start again, all right? So that's really beautifully blended. I'm really happy with that. You can't see any edging or lines, okay? And then what I'll do now is add in some eyeliner, okay? So I want to put some eyeliner on just for some definition, and the reason that we use eyeliner is for definition or to enhance how many eyelashes we've got and how thick our eyelashes are. So I'm using the black skinny wind-up pencil, and I'm just tickling underneath my lashes. So in this inner rim is where I'm putting it on first. This is really hard to do into a phone camera, girls. So if you can, and guys, if I can do it, you can do it. Now, if you struggle with seeing, grab one of our mag mirrors, and then you'll be able to suction cup that onto your mirror at home, and you'll be able to see a lot easier. Okay, now I'm taking it above the lash line, and I'm just putting it on that outer third of my eye. Again, I'm not a big fan of putting eyeliner the whole way. One, because I find it time consuming, and two, I think it's more flattering if you focus all the darker colours on the outside of your eye. I'm just looking in another mirror over here, just it's a bit easier for me to follow. Okay. All right, so I've just put a little bit of black eyeliner. If you want a little bit of a tick, just put it in the corner of your eye there and flick up. Okay, that's the easiest way to get a little flick. Corner of your eye, flick up. All right, so I'm happy with my eyes at this point, and I'm going to finish them off with a mascara in a moment. But what I'm going to do now is move into skin. All right, so basically cleaning up the eye area, and now I'm going to conceal underneath my eyes. And I'm using the Peachy Sleep Concealer. Now you could put your foundation on first if you want to, and then do your concealer. I'm just going to put a little bit on first because I just want to see that I'm happy with the balance of my eyes, and I am. So once I can sort of see what I look like, I know that my eyes are, once foundation's on, I can see that that will look dark enough, because if I put the foundation on, I think, oh, it's not dark enough, then I run the risk of then adding more eyeshadow and then getting the fallout. So I just like to put the concealer on first, just have a look, check that I'm happy with how dark it is, and now I'll move on to my foundation. So I'm not going to really blend this in just at this point. Now, really quick, if you want to know how to do a very, very quick cream contour, and just to give some very quick structure to the face, just grab a foundation stick that's the darker shade to the foundation that you're currently wearing. So for me, I normally wear light to medium or medium olive. I'm more light to medium at the moment. So I'm going to grab the medium olive stick and I'm just going to run it down underneath my cheekbones. Okay, because if we make areas look dark, they look smaller. So if this looks smaller, my cheekbones will look bigger. I'm also going to put a little bit along my forehead. The reason for that is I've got pigmentation damage there, and what I want to do is hide that. And if I put a lighter color onto that pigment damage, it'll make the pigment look grey. So you need to put a darker color on that pigment. And it also, if you've got a large forehead area, it will actually minimize the forehead area. Okay, so I'm just putting that there. Now, if you've got a bit of a turkey neck or a larger neck, you could run this along the jawline as well. Okay, but I'm just going to put it on those two areas. Again, if you wanted to, put it on the side of your nose, you can. But just a really quick, simple contour by putting it underneath. Okay, so having that darker foundation shade. So that was medium olive that I used, and now I'm going to use the light to medium liquid foundation on our kabuki brush. Okay, so it comes in this net so that it keeps the bristles all nice and safe. You can keep it like that, or you can take the netting off, it's up to you. But I'm putting on one pump to start with of the light to medium. I'm not blending any of this contour in, I'm just going to go over the top of it with the liquid, and I'm using a pressing motion. So that's a really quick, lazy contour for you if you've wondered how to do it. Okay, so I'm just now pressing that liquid over the top. If you wanted to blend your contour first, you could, but this just really is a quick way of doing it. Okay, now one more pump for my forehead, probably not even half a pump. Just be careful not to just go over your eyebrows or you'll take them off. Okay. All right, so I'm really happy with that coverage. I think that that's really nice and flawless. If you needed a little bit of extra coverage, you might prefer just to dab a bit of concealer rather than adding more foundation and getting thick looking skin. You still want it to look nice and natural. Yes, I'm putting on more because I'm going out and I want to look really flawless and I want to look very classic, and I just want to have a nice, sophisticated look for a festive season event, but still keep your skin looking healthy. So if you need that extra coverage, you're better off just dabbing concealer where you need it rather than putting more foundation on. So I've got a little bit of a scratch or something on my nose here, so I'm just going to put a little bit of concealer over that and a little bit there. Now with your concealer, I always put it on after the foundation because your foundation, as you can see, gets rid of most of your flaws. And if you put concealer on first, you're just going to rub it off with the kabuki brush. So you really need to put it on after, all right? Now, getting back to my under eyes, I'm now going to blend that concealer that I have underneath my eyes. Just using my fingers. Now obviously if you do this look at home and you get used to it, it will take you a lot less time, but I'm just trying to keep it really slow so you can see each step and understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. What I love about blending the concealer last too is you can really use your fingers to press over the top of any eyeshadow that you've put too far down. So basically your eyeshadow should never sit lower than the corner of your eyebrow and the edge of your eye. If it falls under here, it's going to give you a puppy, droopy, saggy look, okay? So that's another reason I love finishing off the concealer last, because I can blend any mistakes with my eyeshadow up. And look at that, instantly I look like I've spent hours blending that up, but I haven't, okay? So it's all about the products working together in synergy, dissolving into each other, self-blending into each other so that you don't have to spend hours blending things. And it's about layering products and having clean brushes handy, and then it looks like you've spent hours getting ready. All right, so I'm now going to just finish my eyes off, and I'm going to put, if I can find the brush, where is it? The angle brush. Here it is right in front of me. I'm going to use the Peggy Brow Dust underneath my eyes just for a little bit of definition on this outer third. Again, I'm not a big fan of black eyeliner underneath the eyes. I just think it makes the eyes look small. It's why we wear black in clothes. Things look smaller. And if you're wanting your eyes to look smaller, sure, but if you're not, you're wanting just definition, then a really dark chocolate brown is a better option rather than looking really small. Now, if you're going to put eyeliner in that inner rim, it will make your eyes look smaller, and you will have to reapply it. No eyeliner will last on the inner rim because it's touching water, which is your eyes all the time. All right, so I'm probably not a big fan of that. I just tend to put it on this outer third, again, giving height to my eyes rather than putting it the whole way across, which can make it look a bit smaller. All right. The next secret weapon is you have to get these lash curlers. And I'm going to show you, hopefully you can see the difference because I've got dark eye shadow on. But if you can't be bothered with lash extensions, you can't be bothered with laying there, or the cost, not only the chemicals, then you need to get yourself a pair of these. Okay, so you just put them as close to the roots and just gently press into the eye, lifting up. Look at that already. No mascara. Okay, and that's made a massive difference. Now, lifting your eyelashes just makes the eyes look open. Obviously, it makes your eyelashes look longer, but the key to doing it is to make the eye look more open. Voila. These are, I've used these for years, every day. That's one thing I use every single day. Okay, so the next thing to create the illusion of longer looking lashes that's safer on the eyes is to use the lash primer. Okay, it's a clay-based, an Australian clay-based product. You just put a little bit on your lashes first. It looks white. And it goes on, tiny bit on the outer corner lashes. Again, there's no right or wrong. You just do what you want to do. Either follow my tips or don't. You might not like mascara on your bottom lashes. I do a little bit. If you've got really teeny tiny, barely there eyelashes on your bottom lash line, I wouldn't put mascara on them because it'll only draw attention to the fact that they're non-existent, and they're more likely to smudge. So if you don't have good strong lashes underneath, don't put mascara there, okay? Now I'm going to use our newly launched, finally launched, waterproof mascara in black. Okay, it does also come in brown, which is awesome. And again, for those of you that had our last package type, it's the same formula, but the packaging is different. Now, a lot of you wanted a more moist mascara that put more on the lashes. Now, this new package type will do that. Okay, so more will come out on the wand. You can see, look at that, there's heaps on it. And what you can do to, I suppose, measure how much mascara you want is you put it on with this fat side first, and then if you want more of a natural look, you comb it out with this part of the brush last, and that will declump, or it will spread the mascara if you prefer more of a natural look. If you like that really loaded mascara look, then you just keep using the fluffier side of the brush. Now, I hate putting mascara on these phones. Oh, this could be, I'm just going to put a little bit on, guys, because I'm just scared I'm going to ruin my eyeshadow, and it's not the easiest doing it. Again, grab our mag mirrors if you've got issues seeing things clearly. And you'll notice that I'm just focusing on the mascara on the outer lashes. I'm dipping again. It'll work quite quickly with the waterproof mascara because it does obviously dry quite quickly. So now I turn the brush so it's facing my eye like this, and I just tickle those inner lashes, and then I like to just put a bit on the ends. So you can see a tutorial about how I do mascara as well to get them looking as long as possible. All right, again, you could put a little bit on the outer lashes if you wanted to underneath, but I'm not going to worry about it because I've got the brow dust underneath as definition. So you can see just with that curling, the lash primer and that new waterproof mascara, it's really given great volume and a real big lift to my eyes, okay? So now what I'll do is finish off my skin. So I'm going to put on a little tiny bit of bronzer just around my hairline, and the winter or the Monaco, Milan or Monaco, I'm going by the old, very old name. You could use Milan or Monaco just for some really quick contouring, but also to make you look really healthy. I'm a big fan of introducing as much extra earthy sort of colours to the face after you've done your foundation, because if you look at me just like this, it looks quite flat and more foundation-like, okay, which is fine, but if you want a more natural appearance, you know, incorporating a bronzer in that 3 technique that I show you, so it's around the hairline, underneath the cheekbone and along the jawline. Look how healthy this side of my face looks to this side, okay? So it's just about bringing back the elements of the face that the foundation has taken away. So foundation obviously gives you flawless skin, but it also takes away that natural flush of the skin that keeps everything looking natural and youthful looking, all right? So if you didn't want to do the contouring with the stick that I did at the beginning with the foundation, you could focus more with the bronzer to do that if you wanted to. Now, what's left on the brush, I'm going to just blend onto the skin a bit more. So I've done the 3, but now I'm going to blend it. I'm just going to gently blend it up onto my concealer a little bit because I just want everything to come together over my mouth. So again, I haven't re-dipped this. It's got no extra bronzer on it. It's just got what it had left on the brush from when I was contouring around my eye. Now, if you've got your hair up, pop it around your ears. Okay, and look how much more natural that looks, just adding in that little bit of bronzer. Now, my trick with looking really natural around the cheeks, if you want to wear a vibrant color on your cheeks, which I want to do, is to incorporate 2 blush colors. So the Spring Cream blush, I'm putting this much onto this part of my hand, because when you naturally flush on your cheeks or blush, it's not one bright colour, and I know a lot of women want to use brighter colours on their cheeks, but they don't know how to do it without looking like a clown. So the trick is to use 2 colours. A neutral colour like the Spring, which as you can see on its own is a really pretty colour. It's a great weekend colour. But because I want to use this Autumn Rose colour, which is really intense, I just want to put that on first. And then all you do with your brighter colours is get a teeny bit, that's even probably a bit much, blend it into your lid and just put it on the apples of your cheeks. Now it's that edge of your eye and halfway down your nose. It's a good starting point for most. And you'll notice I'm going back and forth to each cheek because this is quite a bright colour. And I'm just focusing on that apple of the cheeks. See, perfect. Now, to think that you wouldn't think that was going to be as natural as that. Now, this is the Autumn Rose. It's a scary looking colour. When you look at it, you think, wow, I'm going to look like a clown. But it's such a beautiful, fresh looking rose on the cheeks once you put it on. And again, it's such a teeny amount, all right? If you make a mistake, just grab your kabuki brush, which has always got a bit of foundation on it, gently sweep it over the top, and that will dull down that blush colour. Now I'm just going to put a little bit more on and then move on to illuminizing. Okay, I'm really happy with that. That's a beautiful colour, that autumn rose. I'm now going to use the loose illuminizer. I'm just going to pop that around my temples, over the top of the blush in a C, so that it gives that dewy, healthy looking skin look. You could put a little bit down the middle of your nose if you wanted to, on the edge of your chin, up to you. Okay, and then now I'm going to finish off with, I'm looking everywhere, I haven't forgotten anything, the lipstick. So I'm going to use the natural red in the eye crayon, or the lip crayon rather. There's eyes and lip crayons. So I'm going to use the natural red. Good old Chrissy colour.